Oh, it's revolutionized the Yes, most of you are friends, but we all try to outreach with the live video, with the recording. So feel free actually to use this time to discuss with us, discuss with the rest of the community. And so I'm Sebastian Ruxer from StartupToken, and we have been doing this meetup since February. This is actually the 7th meetup of this type. And it's going quite well. I'm really happy to see this community alive and getting the feedback from all those projects every time. Today I want to talk just quickly about our mentorship program. That's something we started to announce it about 3 to 4 weeks ago, and we onboarded the first mentors last week. So right now we have 20 mentors. And so the idea is anyone from the community with a certain set of skills can come and can use those skills to help projects grow and to create a positive loop between the community and the project. So a project can give to the community things to improve themselves, experiences to undergo. And on the other side, as those projects get the feedback from the community, now what's talking to them, how they can gather the excitement of their community. So I'm not going to talk about this a bit more. You could see you will be able to see on our social networks the links to our website, and on our website we have a mentors page that describes everything related to this element. So I will invite the 3 speakers actually to come and sit for a round table right now. So please come and let's yeah. Yes, we're having a little round table. So here it's not improvised. Sure. The idea is just to have the best out of you. And so each one of your projects are actually kind of related to social issues. I would let you introduce yourself maybe quickly. So maybe not the way you do it in your pitch, but just in a few words, so people will understand who you are. And afterwards, we're going to try to bounce back on the topic. Blockchain, does it only have a positive social impact? So please start by introducing yourself and let's talk about that.
Okay, my name is Bas van Oers. I am the European representative of Inmediate.
I'm Aytac Kaya, and I'm the founder of Fundition, the first decentralized crowdfunding platform.
Hello, my name is Sebastian. I'm from Argentina. I'm the co-CEO of WABA.network.
And what is your definition of social impact, maybe? What do you think social impact is, just for as a starter?
Well, in my opinion, social impact is related to the transformation of society. So basically, any idea or any project that tackles real-world problems in order to increase or to improve the situation of most of the people, I would say that is social impact.
I can only translate it to the products that we are developing. What we see is that there are a lot of uninsured and underinsured people in the world, and with our network we can have this social impact.
What do you think would be the first impact of blockchain on the social issues we are all facing? Which one will be the first to actually be impacted by blockchain technologies? Maybe not the most impacted, but the first one.
Well, I would say that a very important opportunity that we have is concerning the monetary side of society. So I think that the first use case that we found in cryptocurrencies deals basically with the inability of, or maybe the malfunctioning of the financial system. So that is the first use case. But I think that the next step should be to provide alternative ways of monetary systems that empower communities, and that is how social impact could be achieved.
Nothing to add to that.
All right. And yeah, so is the blockchain positive for that? Do you think blockchain will have actually will be beneficial for society?
There are so many reasons why blockchain can help society, of course. From our perspective, but I will talk about it later on, it will dramatically reduce costs. So products can be available for everyone.
Yeah, and also transparency. I think that everything that deals with governing the enterprises or governments or universities, whatever. I think that transparency and traceability can really be enhanced through the blockchain.
So also, like, what can be the negative impact? Because we all agree that blockchain is great. It's allowing to have a ledger that stores all the information ad vitam aeternam, like, it's there, and you cannot change it. So it has lots of positive applications. But what can be the negative impact of this on maybe the social tissue or the way we use technologies nowadays?
Well, it depends a little bit on the kind of project that you are running on the blockchain. If your product really reads out a lot of paperwork, then in the end it could cause unemployment. But it's really, really far away, of course.
In my opinion, there's a little issue with that immutable system. We have some database where you can't delete anything, and it can also create. The transparency is good, but sometimes, even me, I don't want people to see what I do. And if I can control this data, there is a problem.
So right now you think there is no privacy coin, it doesn't exist yet?
No, it's not like that. It's the blockchain system, and most of them doesn't allow to go back.
All right.
I have one more thing to add. If you look at conventional blockchain technologies like Ethereum and Bitcoin, they are really power consuming at the moment. So we really have to find ways how to make it much easier and more energy efficient.
That can be done with a system like the proof of stake, which permit to keep that. Don't use that energy for something that you don't need it. Because now, if you want to, I'm gonna maybe talk about Steam or that system, but when you choose to use a proof of work, like we do with Bitcoin, we're gonna use many energy, and it's not a green system, but there is some alternative like the proof of stake or the delegated proof of stake, which permit to people to not mine, but mint and to produce token without consuming too much energy.
What's your opinion, maybe does any do that?
One concern I have is that these technologies are quite hard to understand if we want to dig into it, and I'm afraid that with the pretext of empowering people, we're empowering those that know technology well. So we're actually empowering the people that are already somewhat empowered compared to other strata of the population.
There's little particles on that. We're creating a sort of technocracy, and the ones who rules that are the ones who can code the blockchain. So perhaps we are solving the problem, and this is the monetary system is owned by the ones who have the money, and now we're creating another problem, and it's the democracy. Fortunately, I'm there, so it's.
They need also to give back this power to the community. When we look at some projects, it's the Fundition or like the company that created this blockchain that keeps all the power, and that is actually the governance. And so when you look at like all the processes that are ongoing, for example, Hashgraphs, they tried to do a foundation with 29, I think, companies, or was it 39? 29. 29 companies that are trying to actually say, okay, those are the rules, those are not the rules. And so we're actually creating layers of governance, but we're still not going to impose the end user. It's still going to be the people that have the money, or the people that have the technology that will decide for the rest of the community.
There is one reason for that. Blockchain technology, as we know right now, most of the projects are very cool solutions, to invented problems. Now, when we have to solve real problems, that's where we are just a few, and we are facing a lot of troubles because we have to empower the people, we have to teach them, we have to let them own the technology. Otherwise, it's just another beautiful solution to an invented problem.
And also, like when people start to have some knowledge, the first thing they ask is when money. So they don't really care about the technologies, they care about they come here for the investment. The technology, I had this discussion with Ernest actually, that token is not so important in the end for most of the communities, the developer community, isn't it?
Yes. What I can say.
No problem.
I'm nothing to say especially about tokens, about blockchain. What is wrong with blockchain? It's a business. It's to do the same thing. We continue with the same thing. You don't change. You have to disrupt the economy, education, and not to continue to make business with blockchain. It's bad. It's very bad for me. I have a lot of things to say, but about tokens, there is a problem with tokens. It's a Pavlov dogs, you know? Because when you make an incentive system, we can create what the founders of Facebook point. They said that when you create a system around the tokens, there is more than maybe a blockchain, blockchain. It's about the incentive system, because we can create a system, casino system, with the tokens in the casino. It's a big problem. And the other problem is about incentive system. You know, the Pavlov dogs. You know, so there is 2 points to when you create a system. You have to think about these incentive systems and what you are doing, because if you don't do that, it's like Facebook now. They said, it's wrong what we do. And if you don't, it's more important than the issues about energy and about, it's more important. For me, tokens, be very careful about this question, about the incentive systems, because we can create a society very bad.
I think that's why most of the people that are in the blockchain right now say we need to have some kind of a framework, a regulatory framework on what's the token, how to deal with it, how to exchange, how to create value in the system, because everyone agrees that you cannot just clap your hands and do a Ponzi scheme and everything is okay. You need to have a base usage. You need to have some credibility in the usability of token. If you just launch a platform and you create a token, it can be right if your token will be used and there is a velocity and there is something happening inside the system. If it's just speculatory, then I definitely go in this direction.
It's right, but there is a lot of things we can't see now.
For example, what?
I think about the behavior of humans. I think about society. What do you do with the? It's more important for me than the question of a number of transactions per second, etc., etc., etc. For me, it's a mechanism incentive and a reward mechanism. We can create a casino. There is a lot of problems with casino, for example.
There are all experiments, and they are changing every day almost. because the community changed the system. It's not that I created that the system and that's it. It's going to run forever because it's open source and everyone is going to change it to sweep the problems the community is facing, like Steam or whatever. I mean, it's not only one creation. It's always recreating itself, and that's the idea of the blockchain. There are all great experiments changing every day.
Yes, but there is power vectors, in the sense of the strategy or something like this. It's not a spontaneous generation. It's not. There is a human behind with the decisions, with something like this. So there is not. It's not natural system. It's an artificial system. Do you know?
Yeah.
So there is humans. Humans. Is not like.
Like this is to be honest, this is what we do with law. This is what we do with most of what we do. We have like tokenized incentives that each actor, each individual society works with, and it creates big behaviors that cannot be predicted from the single use. This is called emerging phenomena,
Yes.
and this is why it was so hard to model
Yes.
flocks of birds, for example, for
Yes.
a long time, because we cannot model it as a whole. We have to look at singular.
Yes.
So there's no way around it. We have to try things and see how it goes. But my question came more towards design to see if you, for example, you thought about how to implement design so that it becomes less a technocracy and more really empowering people. Because in the end, blockchain token, it doesn't matter what people need is right. They have different needs than blockchain tokens that care about this.
I think in that moment we are living that Tom after I think wrote that he called that the future shock. You know, it's a feel that everything goes too fast. You know, and we can't follow it. So I think we are in this situation now, and it will with the time with many applications, we need a really use case. And we are developing real use case, and I think it's only in that way that we can achieve that, token, people using that, and maybe keeping that idea to disrupt each industry, because making the same as Facebook made, just with tokenization is not. In my opinion, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea because Facebook will do it. When they will release their token, what you gonna do? You know?
They stop using it for the 10th time.
Yeah, they can do it. They can even give you, they have the power to, instead to give you tokens, they can give you fiat money. So
Yeah, it also depends on the way you propose the governance of the thing that you are creating. Because, for instance, just to give an example, I will talk later about that. We develop some monetary systems for cooperatives that have no access for credit on the traditional market, or if they have access, this access is in a very unfavorable way. They have to pay 100% interest. So the idea is to develop the technology to allow cooperatives to develop their own mutual credit system and to give them the system. So we step away. So it's the cooperatives that manage the system in a democratic way. There is no way to ensure that the results of this process will be successful, but I think that, or our bet is that the result will be surely better than the current result, that is the result of a very, very monopolistic financial system that exploits cooperatives and people all over the world. So even if we cannot ensure that these use cases of the blockchain will be successful, I think that it is worth giving them a try.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating. We're gonna move to the pitch because it's time to look at real application. Let's see what you three have to offer, and we can start with from the right to the left. Oh, sorry, from the left to the right for the camera. So, yeah, please.
Yeah, then I can walk around.
Here is the slider. Did you bring the new slider? Should work.
I can press the buttons, no worries.
It should work. Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Hi everybody. Time for a proper introduction. My name is Bas van Boers. I am the European representative of Inmediate. Inmediate is based in Singapore, but I live in Lae, dans les Pays-Bas. That's a very small anecdote. I was in Paris as well during the World Cup in 1998 when you guys won. I was standing on the next to the Arc de Triomphe, watching all the crazy French hanging out on their deux chevaux and so on. I really was surprised to see that night. So I wish you all the best in the rest of the World Cup. But tonight I'm not going to talk about the World Cup. I'm going to talk about insurance. Insurance is an industry which we see is in a state of disconnect. On the one hand, you have the customer who has a lack of choice. There are still only traditional products and a lot of transparency. And also, when you want to make a claim, it can take months before you get a payout of your insurer. On the other hand, you have the insurance companies which suffer from intensive competition because they all deliver more or less the same their products, and also that causes also very low profit margins for them. For example, on travel insurance, it's only 2-3% profit margin. Also, there's still a lot of paper inside those companies. It's slow, and they are also very keen on fraud protection. So what we did to make insurance a little bit easier, 4 years ago we started Insurance Market. It's also the polo shirt that I'm currently wearing. It's an online insurance broker in Singapore where you can buy your car insurance, your pet insurance, your home insurance, life insurance, whatever you want to make. But we still faced a lot of challenges. But still, it's the similar products. Also, the insurers are very scared to start really competing with each other. It's a fragmented, sadistic approach by insurance companies. Even though we have currently 17 insurance companies on our platform and we are offering 7 different products, we are still not happy. Next to that, we see a lot of opportunities. If you look at the surrounding countries of Singapore, we have Malaysia, we have Indonesia, a few other countries in Southeast Asia like Vietnam, Thailand, and there are really a lot of uninsured or underinsured people. So there's really a big public. But there are also a lot of events in your life which you cannot currently insure, like flight delays or crop insurance, in case when you go and harvest your stuff, it's already rotten because of drought, for example, or even genuine claims that fall through the process. So that's something that we want to solve, and for that we have developed the Inmediate network. Inmediate network, it consists of insurers, distributors, the customers, and it works with smart contracts. So to give you an example of that, imagine that you're going to the Alps, to La Les Alpes or to Alpe d'Huez, and you're a little bit scared that there will be no snow. And for that you can close a no snow insurance policy. When you arrive there and you actually discover there's no snow, that can also be discovered by a so-called oracle, a local weather station, which can measure the height of the snow, for example, and that can automatically trigger the payout. This is only one example. Crop insurance, I already said, water quality, air quality insurance. You can think of all kinds of new insurance products. So what does this mean? First, we create more access to insurance because of lower costs. There will be a bigger variety of insurance, and also trust between the customer and the insurance company will improve. So from this horrible process, with you as a customer, you have to go to a distributor who you might not trust, then goes to the insurer when you want to close the policy. And then when you want to have a claim, it's a very complicated process, and we can think by using blockchain technology, well, we are convinced about that, and using smart contracts, we can create that all much easier. And that will lead to a so-called win-win situation, because insurers can create new revenue streams because of new products, reduce costs, and on the other hand, we will have more satisfied customers because of an increased access to insurance. We are developing on the Silica blockchain. Are you familiar with Silica here? Okay. I was already talking about this in the roundtable. If you look at Bitcoin or Ethereum, they are really power consuming and really slow when it comes to the amount of transactions per second. But if you look at Silica, they really have a very high throughput when it comes to the amount of transactions per second. When it comes to our partners, we are currently working with two main insurance companies in Southeast Asia called MHIT and FWD. I was hoping to announce some more already tonight, but we will announce them in the upcoming weeks. And we also work with the institutes, which is a big block alliance in the insurance industry, and also Deloitte as a consultancy firm. This is our team of highly qualified people from the insurance industry and software development, and myself over there. And we also have a lot of advisors who either have blockchain knowledge or a big history in the insurance industry. For example, Thomas Rabanek, that's a former CEO of Prudential. So how would our roadmap look like? In the rest of this year, we will start with developing all kind of new proof of concepts, and we are hopeful. We have to wait for the Silicon network to be up and running before we can release them, but that's planned for Q1 and Q2 of next year. So on the network, we use the DIT, the Direct Insurance Token, and the token is used for for payment of all kind of transactions. So on the network, so like policy quotations, listing of products, purchases, oracle activations, claim handling, and so on and so on. Also, there will be a limited amount of tokens in circulation, and also insurers and distributors are required to hold a minimum balance of tokens. So that's what could be a reason why the tokens will become scarce. And also the tokens can be used as rewards in a loyalty program. So if you are interested, then we currently have a private sale going on. It could be very well that our public sale will commence in July of this year. We will have 1 billion tokens for sale, and the price is $4 each. Oh yeah, by the way, we have already reached our soft cap, so we are very happy about that. Also, big announcement. Today we have started our airdrop campaign. So if you subscribe to our channel, and then you can contact our bot, and then you can earn free DIT. So this is a brief summary of Inmediate. Are there any questions?
There's two questions. So the first one is what's the split of your token sale? Maybe I missed the slide, or did you show it?
What do you mean the split?
You have 1 million tokens, so how
yeah,
will it be
let me check
distributed?
if I have a slide for about that. No, it's not in here. 40% of the tokens will be put for sale. 50% of the tokens are for the team. 5% is for the airdrop and bounty.
40 for the team?
15, 1-5.
Okay.
And 20% is for the contributors and the partners.
And why did you choose the network that you said it was a very fast network? It's
Silica.
Yeah, what's the purpose of it? Because basically it's an insurance contract, and you don't need to have that many transactions to be processed.
Oh yes, we expect a lot of transactions because to be a global network, so we really want to have a high-speed throughput network.
So let's say today I take a company like AXA or Lloyd's, whoever. You know, how many claims are they processing on a daily basis to need like a super speedy network?
I don't know, but if you besides AXA, you also have FWD, MSIG. I don't know what other companies.
Any paperwork company, how many transactions they process?
What we expect over the years, well, not the years, but months, that the number of insurers, the number of distributors, the number of products listed on our system will increase, the amount of customers will increase, so also the amount of transactions will increase rapidly. So that's why we have chosen for a high throughput blockchain.
So the choice of network is strictly based on the speed?
Well, it's yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Because the Visa network is validating 1,300 transactions per second.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. We also compare ourselves. We want to be the Visa of the insurance industry.
I have a question, two, but the first one is why did you use the DEEP token and not the ZIL, the native crypto from Zilliqa?
That's a good question. The reason is that we want to have the token within our own network, and it should be used as a method of payment within our insurance network. If you use the ZIL token, it can also be used for other purposes.
Yes, but you add friction by doing that as well.
No.
Yes, because you have to trade before to have the DEEP, you have to buy it with something. I think the first months it will be mostly with ZIL. So people to enter in your network will have to do this first transaction between ZIL and DEEP, and then come to your network. If it's only to have a payment system, I don't know why you need to have a network effect if it's just to pay. It's my opinion, personal opinion, but
I don't fully understand your question about that.
You say you need a network effect.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But why you need this network effect if it's just for paying? Unless to make the token grow in price. I understand that. But for an investor point of view, it's good because yes, you will create your network effect, and then maybe the token will go up. But for an end user perspective, you add friction.
Oh no! You have to see it in a different kind of way. I mean, the customers, our end customers, won't actually use the DIT token, maybe only for loyalty purposes. But they will still pay in fiat currency.
So if I'm going to ski and there's no snow, I can get actual money back to my skiing ticket.
Of course, because the token should be kept within the ecosystem. And the regular customers of an insurance company, they don't want to have the tokens. They want to have the cash in the pocket.
It won't be decentralized. So if you have to switch, if the end user have to switch tokens to the fiat, you have to use some external APIs, I guess, to make the conversion.
There are different methods. There are all kinds of methods to do that.
You use the decentralization.
So would you have contracts that receive positive claims, say, validated claims, and then they release traditional banking, traditional banking via transfers?
Yeah. No, it goes a little bit into technical detail, so I only have 15 minutes to give this presentation, so maybe I can explain a little bit more afterwards.
What is the blockchain part is just to validate claims, it's not to release the funds from.
Yeah, it's also to release the funds.
Also, another question we have online is actually what's the scope of your insurance? You say you can insure snow. What would you insure? What would you not insure?
We don't we don't develop the products ourselves. We leave that to our partners, but we will cooperate together with the insurance companies.
But the insurer, we get DIT.
Here. Mm-hmm.
So if I claim something, we get DIT, not fiat.
No, you will get the fiat currency.
So here it's written.
It goes a little bit into the technical details. I will explain to you afterwards.
Thanks. All right. Thank you very much.
Ja, d'accord.
Next, we will have a Fundition. And yes, this rider works.
I think there is nothing in the. Okay.
Of course. I'm getting there. I'm sorry for that. So you have the slider shows.
So, I'm Maitach Ozenjetinkaya. I'm an IT developer since 10 years. And I discovered Steam some years ago. I don't know if people know Steam. Do you know Steam? Yeah? Okay. Everyone knows Steam. Maybe there's some exception. You know what is Steam? Steam is a social blockchain which is gonna reward people for their contents. So basically, you're gonna create an account on Steam. You will publish something, and people can upvote you with their stack. Okay. Imagine something like Reddit or Facebook, and when we give an upvote, it will create tokens, and it will go to the author of the content as reward. Okay. So, in my opinion, it's really a great system, and it's a good incentive. We can do many things with Steam. I know that proof of stake is a bit scary for most of people because they see the deflation of the token, but in my opinion, it's not so bad because we can go like that. I mean, for 20 years, maybe white problem. So, what we did with Steam, it's Fundition. What is Fundition? Is we say next gen, but you all know what we mean. It's based on blockchain, and it's totally decentralized. It's a crowdfunding platform which allows collaboration. That means you can create a project. You can create your project on Fundition. Okay, it's like you can see it like Kickstarter or Patreon. So you create your project. You try to get your funds. People can fund you with all cryptos, most of cryptos, with Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, all of them. But there is a small fees from a third party. So when you make a donation with another crypto than Steam, there is a small fee. But when you use Steam, you can fund a project, there is 0 fees. So we don't take anything. You give 10 to the project creator, he will get 10. On his wallet, it's instantly, it goes directly on his wallet. So, the concept is, yeah, like, there is a, how I can explain that? I saw Steam some years ago. I saw many good projects on Steam, and they have good potential. Most of them are humanitarian or charity based, and I was feeling myself powerless to give them a net. They're really great projects. So I decided to make a platform on Steam to help these people, starting by Steam, but the vision is not, there is no limitation. Yeah, there is no limitation to people everywhere. So, we have a decentralized system which give you the ability to fund projects without any fees. Okay, with collaboration. So we have that social aspect, which is, I think, it's one of the most great features of Fundition. So I will give you just an example. We made a meetup today. You could make a project for this meetup. You this is not a good example, but I give just a fast example. We make a project for this meetup, and all of us, we can make our content, you know, we make just a small photo or anything, we post it, and if people like it, it will get some rewards, and it will go to the project funder. So we can we can do many things with the help of people, you know. That's not only the founder of the project which facing all problems, he can get many helps. So the mechanism, I told you about it. I don't want to go too far in the Steam blockchain and how, in my opinion, how it's technically superior to many other blockchains. Anyway, you can find many information about that. There is some battle test. There is many tests made on blockchains, and Steam is, I think it's the second, but it was second just only because it missed some use case. I think this year or next year, Steam will be the first blockchain. I mean, when you compare with the use case, with the transaction, with everything, I think Steam is the most powerful blockchain we have now. So, that combining the social aspect, I think it's a good incentive. You know, we can do some projects, as Fundition we can do it. We can do a project like I don't know, for the Women's Day, okay? Give a flower to a woman, take a photo, take a picture, take a video, something like that, and put it in, you know, put it on Fundition, and we can reward you for that, you know. You do good things, we can reward you for that. That's another aspect, you know. We are totally decentralized. Founder can create its project without having to talk with Fundition or anything like that. But we can also make our own project as Fundition and giving away to people to make good things and to get rewarded for. I know maybe some people will say that charity should not be rewarded. So it's because it's not charity when you reward someone for his action, but think really like the Kickstarter, the Patreon, without any fees, you know, because all of the rest is more just some key features that we have. So we have the Heart SMT, which will come in. We don't have a release date, but it will come soon as the SMT will be released by Steam. So SMT, which means Smart Media Tokens. You can think like an ICU, but it's not an ICU. It's a strange thing that you can we can have our own token on Steam, and I mean I can create a 1 billion token with one Steam, or you know, get funds and gather funds and make a real ICU. We can do what we want. So the thing is to release the SMT, but we don't focus on it. I mean, it's not our goal. The goal is to have a good project which working really fast. That's already, you can check it on Fundition.io. And so, I will finish by saying that Steemit, which is the corporation behind Steam blockchain, help guys like you. Or there's two people, they are also developers on Steam, and we got a little help from Steemit, which I told you about the proof of stake. On Steam, there is the delegated proof of stake, so you can delegate your stake to someone which vote for you. And what does Steemit now? They delegate use tokens to, you know, to reward people and to reward ourselves a bit. If you have any questions about it, don't hesitate.
Is there anything else in Steemit that you think would be compatible with the philosophy or the way you feel your project?
Yeah.
Which one, for example?
Nice. I mean, most of them are compatible. Yeah. So no questions?
Maybe there is I have two questions. The first question is about Steam. There is a link between Steam and EOS. No?
Yeah.
It's the same blockchain.
No, it's not.
It's not the same.
There's no links except for the fact that the same guy making it.
Okay. But it's not the same technology.
No. Dash and Steam are the same technology.
It's both of them
But,
use Graphene, so at one point they use the same technology, and it's Graphene.
The end point.
Yeah.
Okay. The second question.
Dash.
No, Bitcher.
Bitcher.
Steam.
I was thinking about it.
EOS
Yeah.
use the same technology, and it's Graphene technology.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is the same food house.
Yeah, so
One of the guys.
it's the same guy who made the starter, but by Bitcher, he made Steam, and now EOS. EOS seemed good, but I think there is many things to do with Steam. If now we go on EOS, we will start from scratch. It will take 2 years to be here. Here we are now with Steam. So.
Are a lot of people pushing you to do an ICO? Like, saying, oh, you should do an ICO.
Yeah. We are not in that, we don't need it. We don't need it. Yeah. So I'm not selling you something. I'm selling you maybe the fact that you can, if you know associations or people with good projects, just tell them to come on Fundition and to get started. Yeah.
I have one question. What about the control of the funds? I mean, if I fund a project, the money goes directly to the project, and there's no control on how they are going to spend it.
We cannot control that, and I want to work on that part. So we have to educate people because it's a decentralized system. There is no intermediates. So when you give something, you have to be sure that the guy which get the money will do something. But we have I won't say a strong verification process, but how it can be strong. We have some scammers from Venezuela. They say we're gonna distribute shoes, so we reward them, and they keep the big part of that money. It can happen, We have 4 people which do only that. They make only verification. We have 2 psychologs, so we make calls. We are totally decentralized. I mean, there is nothing which is centralized in our system, and that's complicated, but we work on it. Yeah.
Do you know Givet.io? Givet.io. Something like that.
Something like this.
It's something like that built on Ethereum, and they release step by step the funds.
Okay.
They wait for the people to post some photos, some proof that they already started with,
Okay.
and then release weeks or months by months the total amount of money they raise from people, and people can months by months as well stop and take back the hits, the funds of the project.
You can do that on Steam. What you can do on Steam.
I know, maybe.
Yeah.
New project, it would be maybe something
Instead to make a donation,
Yeah.
you can power up that money.
Okay.
You invest in shares in Steam, and you use that money to upvote. You send heart on Fundition. We'll send some heart, so you can decide to take back that money. That's I think that's I don't want to talk too much about that because there's a big potential. We did not develop it, and it will be really huge. Imagine the cross-rest association. which have many missions in the whole world, they can post their project, you know, and people, instead to give their direct donation, they can power up the account of Crossthread or power up their own account and release that money with the time, you know.
So you offer two ways to crowdfund the project, by sending Steams or by upvoting the project, so
By
the Steam
sending all
platform
filters.
gives them,
And yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
yeah. So you can, you know, we have.
But is it clear in the website that I can do it just by sending them Steam, not using Bitcoins or something else?
There is a really small fees when you don't use a Steam account, you know, because you have to use an exchange, okay? But if you use a Steam account, there is no fees, and you can send Steam, you can send.
I ask you something else. What I ask you is if I have two ways to crowdfund the project. I mean, by sending the Steams or by staking my Steams and upvoting the project. So you create a post on Steam for the project and an account, and they receive even Steams or upvotings from the users.
Yeah.
Okay.
And why can't the projects publish like the milestones of their roadmap so that you could upload the project as long as they publish their development?
We upvote a project when we know that the feasibility is real, you know.
Yeah, but you decrease the risk, right? So if you're going to give 10 upvotes to this project, you could give them throughout time, as long as they reach certain milestones for the project, and you're making sure that they are doing something with the money, as opposed to giving them just 10 upvotes at once, right?
It's not possible anyway. They have to make updates, you know, to refresh the project and to get upvotes.
Okay, I didn't know.
So it's based on proof of merit. That's something that I watched. It's an ethical overlay for the Steam blockchain. I wrote it some months ago, and it's based on the merit. You know, you have to prove that you made something.
How many users do you have right now? And if you're going to continuously upvote with your account, how would you imagine scaling your capacity to proof check 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 50,000 people
I already have the solution, you know, because there is some blockchain like Civic. You know, I don't know if people know Civic. Right? We can confirm identity. So imagine just something like Civic, you know, and Oracle with Civic, which will confirm identities for us, and it's done. I mean, we confirm the identity. That's the good part. We still have to confirm the project and to check. So,
also the governance for partnership, for something if you want to have a partnership, let's say, give it a perfect example, so we have some synergies. Who would be in charge of deciding for the community and how?
We have a transparency system, which you will see on Fundition if you go on it. You will see, as I said, there is some people which take this decision, and you can see it. You know what they think, why they refuse you, and why they accept you. But yeah, I think we will. I mean, it's not a big deal for me, because having the possibility to write for the money in fiat is it's more difficult than verified identities, in my opinion, at least now. And if we continue, we have like I think 600 visitors per day. It's not too much, but the project is it's born 5 months ago. So yeah, I think we have the capacity to handle it. Yeah.
And if I may, one more. All of this goes through your website. Have you thought about also creating like a widget that people can have on other websites where people can gain support from Fundition? So I mean, I can already answer your question about synergies with other Steam projects. I mean, for those who don't know, we have an integration for WordPress websites to make WordPress website into a Steam website, basically. And you know, maybe one of our users could have like, hey, fund me with Fundition.
I already talked with Buzzy.org, which will implement it.
Cool.
But it's, I can do it, but if people want to use it or make their own widgets, I can't,
Stop that.
Yeah. But I already talked about that. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, we try to have different types of project, different types of vision, and share our list to present it to you. Now we have our last speaker from WABA.network. I find my mouse somewhere. Yeah. Good.
Well, hi everyone, thank you for coming. So how it all started. This is a town nearby Buenos Aires in Argentina called La Plata, and last year, 2017, Argentina was going through, and unfortunately it is still going through, an economic crisis. And this is just one example of how we came up with this idea. This is a bike store, and since the economy was going through an economic crisis, as it usually happens, consumers adjust their spending, and they prioritize the basic needs, so clothing or food, etc., not bikes. So Diego owns this store and was finding trouble to sell the bikes to the consumers. So what he developed with another local stores that were going through the same problem is a reward system where you go, you buy a bike with fiat, and you get a token that can be used to buy different goods at different stores of the network. So this is already happening, and here what we have is an example of how the blockchain can be useful to create a complementary currency system that, regardless what happens in the traditional financial system, enables a community to be more resilient and to be empowered. So this is a use case that we have developed, and this example was very useful for us to realize that normally communities face these kind of problems that enable them or that preclude them from meeting their goals. When we say communities, what we refer to is to a group of people that share some values, that have a common goal, and that they want to do something to achieve this goal. And normally, our experience in the grassroots organizations shows us that normally communities face these kind of problems that preclude them from achieving their goals. The first one is lack of credit, so you may have very good ideas, but if you don't have funding to finance these projects, these ideas remain abstract. The second problem that communities face is misaligned incentives. What's optimal at the individual level may not be optimal at the social level. So when this happens, you get national equilibrium, and the social result is not optimal for the society as a whole. And the third problem that communities face is external competition. So for instance, local businesses and local workers may find defenseless against the competition of large chains, for instance. So a traditional solution that communities have tried to tackle these problems are called the complementary currencies. Complementary currencies are a type of money that is not legal tender. You cannot use a complementary currency to pay national taxes, but you can design a complementary currency to perform a specific function. For instance, you can design a complementary currency to encourage people to recycle, or to produce renewable energy, or to do social work, or whatever. This already exists. We have more than 4,000 complementary currencies around the world, and many of them are here in Europe. But the problem is that issuing a complementary currency and designing a complementary monetary system is not an easy thing to do. You have to tackle many things in the same moment to design a successful monetary system. For instance, you have to find a way to issue money in a secure way. You have to find a way to govern the system. You have to have a decision-making protocol that allows the people that govern the system to monitor and manage the system all the time. Because if a problem arises, you cannot just pause the economic system for 2 months until the members of the system have came up with a solution. So you have to have a decision-making protocol. And you have to have a marketplace where all the users of this complementary monetary system encounter. And the problem that real communities face right now is that there is not a ready-made solution available for them to use them. So communities that want to have their own community currencies have to face a very tough way in the process of building all these pillars of monetary or complementary monetary systems by themselves. So many communities fail in this process, and those communities that succeed have another problem, a second problem, which is how to scale up a complementary monetary system. Because if they do it on paper, when you get a lot of transactions, it turns very hard to keep track of everything that goes on. And if you use a software, most of the times those software are centralized, thereby subject to corruption and shutdowns. So the problem is that communities that want to have their own community currencies don't have a technological solution that enables them to be successful in this process. So what we are doing in WABA.network is to try to integrate all the pillars that comprise a complementary monetary system in one platform. We are trying to do this in a secure and scalable way, so that's the reason why we have chosen the EOS project, which is a promise, but it is promising to deliver the possibility of doing thousands of transactions per second at a zero cost, and that is something very important for us because we are working with municipalities that have, for instance, 500,000 inhabitants that are doing transactions all the time. So you need to have a very fast and cheap blockchain. So basically, the whole idea is to have a platform where communities or communities leaders enter and choose among 7 different monetary systems. And each monetary system will have a specific goal. For instance, we have here the municipality system. So the mayor of a municipality can choose this system to encourage people to behave in some way, for instance, to do social work. A second monetary system, for instance, is mutual credit. So you can have cooperatives or SMEs that choose this system to provide credit among themselves in a context where they don't have access to the traditional credit from banks. Or you may have, for instance, the circular economy system, a system that is specifically designed to encourage people to separate waste at source, thereby facilitating the recycling process. So basically, depending on what community you are, a specific monetary system will suit your needs. And the same we do with the monetary systems, we do it with the governance and civic tech systems. So we are building 5 templates of government systems that will enable the communities to govern the monetary system that they have chosen in the way that better reflects the way in which they want things to be decided on. So basically, if you are a municipality, maybe the autocratic government system will suit your needs because the finance minister will be the one that decides on how the money is issued, how the money is destroyed, how the interest rate is set, etc. But if you are a group of cooperatives or if you are a university that is going to launch a time bank, maybe some form of democracy is better. So depending on what community you are, you will choose a specific template for a monetary system and a specific template for a government system. And you choose the template and then you can customize it. So the parameters are chosen according to the community's needs. For instance, an example of parameterization, if you choose the mutual credit system, one parameter that you can decide upon is, for instance, do you have an interest rate or not? And if you have an interest rate, what is the value of the interest rate? How is the interest rate determined? So these are the parameters that will be embedded in the monetary system for the communities to decide on. So in practice, this will work this way. The community leader will enter the platform, will set up the community in the platform. It will pick the monetary system that he wants to use. It will pick the civic tech system that he wants the community to use. Then it will customize the online marketplace, and the system will automatically create the token, the digital wallet, and the marketplace for the users to use the token and encounter. The final point is that what we are issuing is a token that will perform this specific function. The idea is that the platform that I have just described will be open source, so that anyone that is willing to collaborate in the production of new monetary systems, new civic tech systems, and new features for these systems will have the possibility to do it, and in exchange, he or she will receive a reward in WNT. And this is very important because what we see in the field is that we have a lot of communities that need these complementary monetary systems. We have what we call complementary currency architects, that is people that know how to develop in a consistent way these systems. And we have software developers. But the problem is that these three actors are not working together. They are scattered. So the idea is to bring them all together to the same table to work collaboratively in the development of a better platform that is useful for everyone. So the idea is that every time a community needs a specific feature to be developed or a new monetary system to be developed, it can call an architect to help in the process of design, and then they can call upon developers to program it. And once this is made open source, they will all receive a reward in WNT. So this is the specific function that the WNT has. So far, we have been developing 3 use cases. Actually, we have 2 implemented already. PAR, a mutual credit system that is being governed in a democratic way. And Discoin, which is the loyalty program system that I was talking to you in the beginning, that is being managed in an aristocratic way, because we have 3 shop owners that have decided to launch the program. So they are the administrators, and all the users are just users, but they cannot decide on the way that the system is managed. And then we are now developing the 3rd use case, which is called Jellycoin, a circular economy system that encourages people to recycle. And this is being sponsored by a municipality nearby Buenos Aires in Argentina. And surprisingly, the manager of this municipality has decided to govern the system in a liquid democracy way. So this will be a very interesting experiment to see how triple impact projects can work. That is social impact, economic impact, and environmental impact. Well, and basically this is our team. What we try to do is to combine different dimensions. We think that if we want to be successful, and if we want communities to be successful in the development of these complementary monetary systems, problems have to be tackled in a holistic way. So we not only need very good software developers, but we also need economists, social scientists, people that come from the communication domain, because the more dimensions that are included in a project, we think that it is it's higher probability of tackling the problem in a successful way. So this is basically our value proposition. Thank you very much for your attention. Any questions? Yes.
So I have 2 questions. First question is eventually you're thinking about opening it for other people to build their own ecosystem on top of your platform?
Yes.
Okay. So anyone can come and actually create an ecosystem on top of it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And the second question is what's your timeline?
Well, basically, we have already developed these 3 use cases, or the first 2. Then we expect to have this 3rd use case developed by the end of the year, and to have an MVP of the platform, that it will be basically the possibility to create your own mutual credit system and to customize it.
Yeah.
So that is going to be the MVP that we want to have ready for November, where we will do the token sale.
Yeah. One additional question that just came in. So you're talking a lot about social impact, and basically, I guess if you're talking about social impact, it will be in more developing countries. How are you going to use the wallet? Basically, how are you going to break the UX problem that we have today?
Well, an interesting thing, at least in Latin America, is that you go to a slum in Latin America, or a favela, I don't know if everybody understands, and of course, you find people that live below the poverty line, but they all have smartphones and good shoes. So the access to technology is not a problem. What we have in Latin America is that we have very good internet connection in big cities, but if we go to the Atacama Desert, for instance, in the north of Argentina and Chile, we don't have internet. So in those places, we have a limitation. We hope to overcome this problem in the future, but it is also true that in Latin America, the bulk of the population lives in the very important cities of the continent. So Sao Paulo, Mexico City, Buenos Aires. So that is not a problem. But of course, there is a very important challenge in the pedagogical dimension to build applications that are really useful for the people and easy to use.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a question actually from Jacob, who is watching you online. Are there any incentive to be an early adopter?
Of the platform?
Yes.
Well, basically, I think that the incentive that these guys had is that they have an urgent need to be solved, so they don't want to wait until the whole platform is launched by late 2019. So these early adopters are communities that we found very interesting in their goals, and that they had an urgent problem to be solved. So even if they didn't know, they weren't aware of the potential risks, or if they didn't know if the project would be successful or was going to be successful, they made their bet because they wanted to try. And luckily, I think that these two use cases are working. They are already implemented. They are slowly growing. So, yeah.
And I may also like to answer that question. So to become our beta testers also could be something that we would like to discuss to build a partnership depending on the community interested. And that's one of our purposes throughout our European tour that we started 2 months ago. We've been visiting different communities that may want to test our MVP since November. So depending on the community, that's something we would like to look at.
Marina and Pablo, behind you, are part of the team. Marina is co-CEO and Pablo is CTO.
How much are you looking to raise?
We have a hard cap of 2.5 million and a soft cap of 2.5 million and a hard cap of 20 million.
Why such a difference? Because if you raise 2.5 million, you can do your project, so why do you need 20 million?
Well, because most of the communities that we are working on do not have money to purchase the token to have access to the platform. So the idea is to build a foundation that will give the tokens for free to all the communities whose values are aligned with our view, and later on the view of the DAO that will become the platform. So the idea of the foundation is to give the tokens for free to communities that, let's say, are poor and that they cannot buy the tokens to get access to the platform. And also, we think that, related to what we were talking before of social impact and the transformation of society, I think that it is very important to do a lot of communication and marketing regarding the potential of complementary currency systems. We think that a community and a country cannot be autonomous and sovereign if it doesn't control its own currency. We come from countries where the fact of not having a sovereign currency has produced lots of problems. And now I think that most, if you live in the south of Europe, you are also aware of the problems of getting in debt in a currency that you don't issue. So I think that is very important, and a lot of communication needs to be done to encourage people and communities to develop that. So we want to use part of the money to build this kind of communication strategies and deploy these campaigns to increase the awareness. Marina wants to add something.
Yeah. As Sebastian mentioned, there are many communities interested in launching not just a community currency, but a successful community currency. And that means a lot of work in the territory. There are many mature communities that know how to do it. A very good example is Sardex. It's a successful mutual fund system in Hungary, Sardinia, and they do have a proven method that they implemented throughout the last 10 years But there are many other communities that don't have this know-how, or they don't have enough experience, or they may not have even issued their own community currency yet. So for those specific communities, they need a lot of resources for work in the field. And that's something we would like to help at, and not just providing technology for the mature communities.
So it was, I need a little bit of education, as you said, I guess. I don't understand how, can you go back on the use cases? On how a loyalty program helped your friend at the bike shop, for example. I don't really understand, because to me, if people are still more interested in bread or clothes, they're going to use those tokens to go get more bread and more clothes. So how does it change the balance? Really?
Yeah, but by means of this token, you inject more liquidity into the system. So if they are going through hard times, it is because there is not enough money and credit in the traditional form. But if this token is accepted in 50 different local stores in this town, it becomes money. Not official money, but it becomes money because you can spend it at the bike store, at the supermarket, etc. So you have more liquidity. So once you have already fulfilled your basic needs, not only with the mainstream currency, but also with this new currency, then you can go to the bike shop or wherever, to the restaurant or to the cinema. So basically what you do is to increase the monetary mass in the town.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The official monetary mass is exogenous because it is decided by the central bank that it has set a 40% interest rate. This is an unofficial monetary mass that as long as is accepted by the local stores, it becomes money.
So it will not change the distribution of spending, it will just try to increase spending.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
And what the program does is the shops puts money into customers' pockets, and they are the only one that accepts it. So you're going to have more money, and then you will have to spend it in the shops that belong to the network, but you're going to have more money in your pockets. So the needs of a bicycle remains there, but you don't have the money to buy it. But perhaps if you have more money, you will want to buy it. That's the idea.
Okay.
So I think, just to add on that, I think the innovation here is not that the bike store is issuing a discount, so you can come back to them and they're just issuing money for you to use it exclusively on the bike shop. This is a kind of money that you can spend among 50 different shops so far, and the difference is it is a multilateral loyalty program as opposed to a bilateral loyalty program, for example, Starbucks rewards would be.
Yeah, I don't know much about economics, and I know some cities in England and many other places have actually printed local currencies.
Bristol, for instance, yeah.
And the way I understood it is trying to control the outflux of money.
Yeah, but the difference is that, for instance, in Bristol, what they have is a replacement or a substitution of the official money. So, for instance, you have £1,000, you put them on a bank, and you issue 1,000 Bristol pounds. So the total liquidity is exactly the same. So that doesn't change that much. But in this case, you are increasing liquidity. You have the same amount of legal tender, and also added to that, you have an additional currency. That you cannot buy a bike in Walmart because this is only used in local shops.
They both have two different objectives. The Bristol pounds wants the money to stay in the area, and that's cool. And what we want here is to increase the economic activity led by the network, by the shops themselves, who are the ones that are going to accept this currency.
Well, I would have a question on EOS itself and the strategic move to move on top of it. Because we've seen a lot of centralization, and we've seen block producers actually censoring centralizations or wallets, even actually going back on some transaction and stopping the blockchain. Aren't you afraid that basically, suddenly, if I'm using your local economy, suddenly I can't even spend my coins because the blockchain is stopped? So isn't that an issue for you if you want to issue trust and decentralization? Because then you basically run on something that's centralized.
Yeah, no, I think it's not a problem. I think that the things that have been happening is because the network was launched by the community. There's no central authority. The community decided the points of arbitrage, and the ECAP decided that these accounts stole the balances they have. So before they prove it, they said, hey, we have to freeze this account, but they are not banned. I mean, they are frozen until they go through their investigation, and the VPs accepted that. That's it. I mean, but you know, it's the beginning. There was a lot of problems migrating from the Ethereum token to the mainnet, and they have to solve it because a lot of people lose their balances, and I think that's right. We will have to wait what's going on there. When the mainnet will be running and go mainstream, I'm sorry, I think the incentives will align again, and we will have a really decentralized platform. And as we expect, some problems happened with features and with Steam when it was launched, and I think what's going on now it's not a very big deal. I mean, it's going to be solved.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you said these three projects are already, at least two are already running.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand on what they are running.
On features.
On
Features.
Ah.
Both of them are running on features.
Okay. So, thank you.
So we can continue. There's such nice weather, and it's really hot here, while outside there is nice rain. So we're gonna kids have arrived, so we can just move and take beverages and share a good garden party together. Thank you very much.
Let's take the floor, Leon. I need to put the soccer somewhere, but there are some people waiting to watch it. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.